started the audio.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everyone. Oh, it's starting. Yeah.
Welcome to Chat with Camille show. This is Camille.
I'm here.
And today we're going to have a very special guest by the name of Mr. Benjamin Weigel. The reason why I asked him to be a guest on the show is to talk about different veterans' needs. And also I can give you, and I'd love to give you a little background on Ben. He's a 13-year Marine veteran in Kern County. He was born and raised in Bakersfield, California. And he just wants to chat with me, Camille, about veterans issues that are going on in his local town.
Right
Also,
here, baby.
He will be discussing veterans hospital issues, veterans benefits, veterans mental health, veterans needs, and who to contact if you need help or resources as a veteran. As a guest, I am thrilled to have him. And I think I forgot to add a few wonderful accomplishments that he will share with you about his life and some of the things that were challenging for him once he was under the service. Okay? So we look forward to having you listen about Veterans Local Issues Part 1. This is a 2-part show. Okay? So let's talk with Ben.
Yeah, well, your intro's done now. Oh. Use that one. Hello? Hi, everyone. Okay, so we're apparently on the air, but we're trying to get our guests hooked up, and so okay, that's muted. Okay, and so now let me try my. There it goes. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest, Benjamin Weigel. And he is a local 13-year veteran, as you all know, and he's here in the studio today. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to start asking him some questions. Okay? Welcome, Benjamin. Welcome to the studio, Benjamin. And I have just like a few questions for you about questions for you as a veteran, because these are questions that I believe many veterans the information that you have to give would be informative to our listeners and to not just a veteran, him or herself, but also to their family members. First question, again, I'd like for you to let the audience know what your name is. And what your current occupation or profession is?
Feeding work or rock, gravel, sand, or picking up demo work.
Great. Can you speak up just a little louder if you don't mind? So just your occupation or profession?
Working in transportation, going to delivering construction materials.
Excellent. And what are your accomplishments? Because when I did my research, I saw that you had ran for both mayor and for president in 2016. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Did you want to share with us what that was like and also your reason for running?
Very interesting experience, to say the least.
It was a very interesting experience, to say the least. Got to meet a lot of wonderful people as far as the mayoral candidacy went. The presidential
candidacy, being on the low side of the financial spectrum, didn't have the influence that other candidates had naturally. Why did I run? Well, Mayor, that was just kind of a hasty last-minute thing. I hadn't planned on doing it, but some coworkers said, hey, you should run for mayor. And so I threw my name in the hat just for the fun and of being part of it. For president, there were several issues that were going on, particularly one that was big at the time and still is, was immigration. Other issues were internal issues within the U.S., infrastructure, veterans issues, things like that.
Wonderful. And speaking of you being a veteran, why did you join the Marines?
Well, initially when I joined the service, I was going to do the Air Force because I had plans to become a pilot, but I'd learned that because I was wearing glasses, I would have been disqualified from being a pilot. So I looked at the Army, and I was going to go with that route, and then played football in high school, and the length of the season was longer than training to become a soldier. And I said, well, no. And the Marines covered that same length of time as the football season, surprisingly. Plus the opportunity for travel I felt was better with the Marines. And then the Army's uniform back at the time, I'm sorry to say, the color, okay, I'm not going to discuss that because it's not appropriate.
Okay, thank you. This is a G-rated show. So that's great. And did you have money when you joined the service, or did you have plans to go to college prior to enlisting in the service? I assume you're enlisted, or were you drafted?
I was enlisted.
Yes. And so what were your prior plans prior to deciding to go to the service?
Well, before going active duty or prior to enlisting, my parents had to sign the documents because I was 17. I had planned to go to Bakersfield College and study God knows what, but it was just kind of the thing. Everybody's going to school, so I said, I'll stay here, go to school. I'll go into the service part-time, let them pay for it, and I can get some training, do something. But while the recruiter was at my house and talking with my parents, which was not the first time they'd done this because they had to go through it with my two older brothers. My father looked at me and said, well, if you're going to do it full time. And then I was going to go infantry, and he said, if you're going to do it, pick something that's going to give you specific skills or talents. And so I said, okay. Well, I went active duty, and I chose occupation that provided skills, although it wasn't the first choice that I didn't end up in the first choice that I wanted due to qualification issues, not having a driver's license, or because they said I was colorblind, and so I didn't get the choices that I had initially wanted.
Family that supported you in your decision to be a serviceman? Did you have family there who were supporting you?
My entire family supported. My mom's side of the family, I don't know of any of her brothers that did not serve, whether it was Vietnam, Korea, that era there. People in the church, they supported it. Oh, they pause it.
Huh?
It's ringing.
just leave it. You're fine. Keep talking. We're still on air.
People, when I was in high school, they were
Hi, this is
taught
Lynn.
or caught off guard that I was going into the Marine specifically,
Yeah.
particularly because I was
Caller, are you there? Huh. Wasn't it ringing before?
Yeah, yours is not connected. It's still.
Excuse me. Quit talking on there. Thanks. Okay, can you keep going?
But,
Keep that on.
they were surprised. They were caught off guard. So, as I was saying, I was a 6 foot, 150-pound
Caller? Oh,
individual.
caller dropped. Okay.
So it was. Everybody was supportive. Nobody was against it.
Great. And then, did you where are you from? I forgot to ask a big question. Where are you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Bakersfield, California, in the county of Kern.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. And how old were you when you joined the service?
I was 17 when I enlisted.
17. Okay. And how did you find the service to be once you were there?
Well, boot camp was, none of it was really surprising or difficult to myself personally. Just because I knew what I was getting into. So, yeah, it was easy. Maybe you're going to use this. But,
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break here. Hello? Yeah, that's the problem right there. 532 595 1076 pound. Can you read me that PIN number?
532 595 1076. I guess columns 516.
Okay, so looks like we're back. And so the next questions that I have for our wonderful guests are, did you find the service to be stressful?
Initially, no. It was, again, for me, because I really had an idea of what to expect just from having two older brothers that had served, and then having been in the junior ROTC program, which is the Reserved Officers Training Corps. Really discussed what life in the military was like and what to expect. And honestly, it's no different than life is outside the service. You go to work like you would any other job, do whatever the job is that you're doing.
Uh-huh.
Granted, there are some jobs that are military specific, whether it's arming munitions, whether it's being a
Hello?
frontline
Caller, are you there?
gunfighter, kicking indoors.
Lost my caller.
Now, probably the most difficult part is boot camp for the Marines, or basic for the Army, Navy, and Air Force. And that's especially for someone that is 17, 18, first time away from home, they face homesickness, culture shock because things are happening so rapidly. Especially with the Marines, everything is now. You'll yell out something, they'll tell you louder. You could be screaming at the top of your lungs until you have no voice left, and they'll still tell you louder. Or to tell you faster, you could be puking your guts out and they'll tell you to go faster, just to get you to understand that your limits are farther than what you think they are. For you to understand that they're capable of doing more than what you initially thought you could.
Yeah.
One of the things that's very unique to the Marine Corps versus the other branches is in training, the Marines will take your identity as an individual. Because if you try to remain as an individual, it will not allow for a team to work because everybody is trying to be their own self. And so the first part of Marine boot camp is to take your identity. The second is to integrate that identity with the unit, with those that you're with, because you have everybody from all walks of life, whether they could have at one point been a bigot, a racist, whatever. Their whole world gets opened up to something new.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last portion of the training is just fine-tuning everything and preparing us to go out into what we call the fleet, Marine Force.
Got it. Thank you so much. And when you were working in the service, what was your job description or title when you were there, and about how much did you make?
Oh, okay. I had multiple titles while I was in the service, and that it does happen across all branches. You'll have different billets that you may fill, so your job title can change throughout the time. My primary military occupational specialty was food service. So that was cooking mass quantity of food for anywhere from 500 people to 2,000 people a day or per meal.
Yes.
And that can be pretty stressful because it's can be very time consuming, especially if you're having to make individual items like meatballs or something from scratch and you have to form them. Very time consuming.
Wow.
Some of the prep I started off in Japan, in Okinawa, Japan, in the storage room, and that can be stressful because trying to maintain the inventory, getting stuff out at the right time so that the Marines are preparing the food, cooking the food, have what they need when they need it, proper quantity of what they need, and balancing, supporting them while trying to do my duties of taking an inventory and everything at the same time and just having a smooth operation. From there, I moved into working in what was called the salad room, which was salad preparation, which you think, oh, that's just chopping lettuce or something. No, there was so much more to that. It was all the vegetable preparation for all the meals, where there was having sliced onions, chopped peppers, peeled potatoes, sliced potatoes, whatever food preparation they needed for vegetables was done in what was called a salad room. The last billet that I had was a part of the night crew, and not every installation has a night crew. I was on an air station, so because flight training goes 24 hours a day, we have a night crew that works. And there, I was part of a team that ran basically what was a Subway. We had pre-made sandwiches that had a certain meat, certain cheese, and then whatever they wanted as far as the type of bread or whatever they picked at the site where they picked up the sandwich. One of the things I innovated there was putting jalapeno juice into our cheese sauce, which turned out to be a major popular hit, which was kind of a surprise to me because I wasn't technically supposed to do that because it's what we call change the recipe. But it was a big hit. People loved that jalapeno cheese sauce, putting on the potatoes or whatever, the nachos, wherever they were putting it on. Another job duty I had was a Marine security guard. And that's not one that most people are familiar with or ever heard of. It is diplomatic security. It's a contract with the Department of State for Marines to provide security at U.S. embassies and consulates around the world. Our primary duties are to provide security for classified information, for the building, and for American personnel.
Yes.
At the time for me, it was specialized training, which still is, but it was a 6-week course at the time. And we were doing roughly 14-hour days, Monday through Friday, and then half a day Saturday, Sunday. When I went through, it was right after the U.S. embassies were bombed in Nairobi, Kenya, and Dar es Salaam. Two of my instructors were actually at those embassies when the bombings happened, so I had instructors that had real life experience with those things that happened. When they were looking for volunteers to go on that duty, I asked all the Marines, why don't you do it? And they said, it's too dangerous. And I thought to myself, what the hell are you talking about? It's more dangerous at home, walking down the street where people can randomly shoot you or rob you, do whatever. At least there you've got some type of anticipation of what's going to happen. And I felt that a lot of Marines that I talked to said, it's too dangerous. I honestly found them cowards to say, it's too dangerous. Well, then why did you join the service? Any branch.
Yes. Again, this is a G-rated show.
And keeping it there.
Thank you.
My first posting as a Marine security guard was in Singapore. And just to give you an idea of what that embassy looked like from the outside, if you were to picture Alcatraz, that's kind of what it looked like. Just a very nice-looking Alcatraz. And as a Marine security guard, we were responsible for responding to any emergency that happened at the embassy, whether it was a mob trying to break into the embassy, whether it was a fire, somebody placed a bomb, we had to find it. If it was an earthquake, somebody put nuclear, biological, chemical, we had to be prepared for all of that. And the number of Marines at an embassy or a consulate, I can't give you the exact numbers because each place is different. But the minimum you would find is not less than, and we work on a rotating shift. Each embassy is different on the schedule that they run. Part of my marital duties in Singapore, react and training is, part of what I did was made the training plan. I created scenarios for the training. So if we had intruders, or we needed to train for that scenario, then I developed it. However it happened. One of the things I innovated there was, in the major or the actual Marine Force, they would use the high-tech laser tag type system. We didn't have it at the embassy, and let's go out and see if we can get some laser tag guns. And my trainer said, hey, well, let's do it. And the reason behind that was it would help us increase our realistic training because, running down a hallway and saying bang, 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 it doesn't truly tell you what happened or didn't happen. And so having that laser tag system going beep, beep, you would know that, the realistic, if you got hit or not or what have you.
Paul, are you there?
Hello?
Hi.
Oh,
Hello?
Hi, caller. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Did you have any questions for our guest, Benjamin Weigel?
Well, no, not currently. Unfortunately, I just joined your show, so I was too busy listening to the vein of conversation.
Oh, wonderful. Can you hear the show?
Yes, very well. I'm using my cell phone rather than my computer.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. We're going to continue, and I'm just going to have you hold the line if that's okay.
Yes, I'm very interested in this conversation, this discussion, and the topic.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. May I ask your name, caller?
Lynn.
Lynn, thank you so much, Lynn, for being so patient with us. So we're just going to place you on hold for now. I'm going to ask a few more questions to our guest, Ben, and then we'll come back to you if that's okay.
That's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Going back to the things that the embassy as part of my duties, also the supply NCO, and that was maintaining all the supplies, the weapons, the ammunition, our body armor that we had at the time, and our non-military items. You know, we had bicycles that were provided for us to ride if we wanted to.
Yes.
We had a gym membership. All these perks and stuff that helped us maintain our surprisingly, our mental health. There was all this stuff there for us to do.
Yes.
And then from Singapore, I moved on to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, which was quite a change. And part of the things they told us in training to become a Marine security guard was there's some places where you won't have your daily things that you do here. There'll be a lot of restrictions, whether it's because of the political climate, whether it is the country itself, the surroundings where you're at, just a variety of things. So Ethiopia, we didn't have a gym.
Yes.
And the altitude there was roughly 8,000 feet. And a lot of times what people in general don't understand it or don't know is that high altitudes will affect your mental health also because of just the oxygen and things like that.
Yes. And then my thank you for that. And my next question is approximately how many hours per day did you work when you were in the service?
Oh, now that varies upon the specific job that you're doing. If you're working in administration, that's me roughly 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Food service, if we were on what was called a 2-watch system, I would show up to exercise in the morning at 6:30, 5:30, 6:30 for an hour, give or take, and then I'd be there until the end of the day, which would be generally 6:37 by the time we were done cleaning and whatever else we had to do. And then the following morning, I'd be back to work at 4:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock.
So are we looking at about 14 hours a day, roughly?
Well, I'll just say it was 12 out of 14 days we were working on a 2-watch system.
Wow.
On a 3-watch system, we would work that day and a half with a day and a half off and work roughly 1 weekend out of the month.
Okay.
The military police, they would work kind of similar to what local law enforcement work, which would be like 4 days on, 3 days off. The fire department in the military works similar as the civilian fire departments, 24 on, 4 days off, or whatever their schedules are. So you'll find a lot of similarities between the two, just depending, again, on what your job is.
Okay. And then were you promoted in your positions in the service or not?
Yes, I was promoted.
Excuse me, and what does that promotion entail?
Well, initially, it changed throughout the time that I was in. Naturally, things progressed and changes are made. But initially, It was the length of time that you were in the service and the length of time that you were in the current rank that you were at. And that was for a private through Lance Corporal. So you had to be in for so long and serve for so long unless you received a meritorious promotion, which was an early promotion, and that could be for special achievements, special recognition, things like that. Once you became an NCO, which was a corporal and a sergeant, or to become a corporal and down, it was also a what was called a composite score, and that was a combination again of your length of time in service, the length of time that you were in your Pacific pay grade, and then the rifle schooler, because we had to qualify with a rifle, and so they took into that account the score there, your physical fitness score, and what we call proficiency and conduct marks. So actually the rifle and physical fitness test scores were tied into your proficiency marks. So if you were not qualifying on the rifle range, your proficiency would take major hits because you're not meeting the standards that are expected. Your conduct marks, that would be, the way you conduct yourself as a Marine, both in and out of uniform. So if you're out causing fights in bars, or you're acting drunk and disorderly, or you're being disrespectful to your leadership, then your conduct marks are going to take a major hit, and those would affect your score for promotion.
Could you do a little bit more time on this?
Yes.
Okay, can we? I want to be able to get all our questions in, as many as we can, because this is just part one.
Okay. And then, corporal and sergeant, that's how you get promoted. And then from sergeant to staff sergeant and above, it is given off of what's called a fitness report.
Yes.
And that is generally given once a year, unless there's other scenarios that happen, whether your leadership changes, you change places that you go, or you go to training, whatever it is. There's certain circumstances in which you'll receive a fitness report. And that fitness report details in writing your accomplishments. You're graded basically on
your accomplishments.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. That was great. A lot of information, and probably for most other veterans or service men and women, they would understand that better than someone like me.
Well, each branch is different. Just the Air Force and Navy, they have a written test that people take in order to get promoted. The Marines, you don't take a written test. It is there are certain educational requirements now that they have to have in order to get promoted through what's called the Marine Corps Institute, and those are correspondence courses. And mathematics, leadership, and various other ones that are goal-oriented.
Yes, and then how did your personal life hold up in the veterans? Did you have one? Were you able to have one? Did it become lonely in there? Because you were there for how many years again? Was it? So we have 13 years, is that
13
correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you were there from what year to what year?
June 1997 until June 2010.
Oh, that's a long time. So were there any challenges with just being with yourself and or not?
No, like I said, surprisingly, in Japan, I had a lot of time off. I rode a bicycle up and down Okinawa, Japan a few times, and got lost and had to find my way back, and just had a good old time. Went to the beach, hung out with other Marines. Sailors went to the bars.
Yes.
We did had a random time. Singapore, went to the nightclubs, hung out with employees from the embassy. Went to the ambassador's house.
The ambassador of
Singapore. So the U.S. ambassador.
U.S.
to Singapore.
ambassador of Singapore.
Which was he was directly appointed by Bill Clinton at the time. So it was very unique to have a tie to somebody close to the president, because it's not every day that happens.
Yes. And so, how did your family, if you had one, how did they hold up in this service? Was it easy for them? Was it stressful for them, not having you there as much? How did they hold up overall? You don't have to give details, please. It's okay. But just, how was it for you?
It can be very challenging and stressful. People that can relate really well would be our local police and fire departments, because they can be called away at a moment's notice for an emergency. And the military, when that happens to us also, we can be called away so quickly and without prior notice. That can be hard on families. Other times, extended periods of training. It can be, a week. It could be 30 days. It could be 6 months. So,
great.
For a young family, very stressful because it's new to them. They don't know what to expect. They don't know how to deal with it.
Yes.
The resources. Those that have been around for a minute, it's just kind of a normal daily thing to them. They're like, okay, hey, you're gone. Okay, no problem. We'll see you when you get back.
Yes. And then when did you separate from the service?
Well, I separated June 2010.
Separated June 2010. And then how was your transition to civilian life after separation from the service of 13 years, which is a lot of your life, your young life?
Yeah. I thought at the time I took a break for a year. I was like, I'm no stress to try to find a job or anything because it just needed time to decompress. I had literally just come home from serving a year in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Which was, for me, no big deal because I was not at the front line.
Yes.
Providing support, which when I was deployed to Iraq, I was in the front line providing support to the Marines and sailors that were kicking in doors and looking for bad guys.
Yes.
But nonetheless, just knowing people that were injured, personally knowing people that had been severely injured.
Yes.
It can take a mental toll because you don't particularly expect it to happen, especially when it's some young people that it happens to.
Yeah. Did you mean younger? You mean who were your age or who were younger?
Literally younger.
Okay, younger. Okay. And then which war would yours have been considered to be? Because, for me at the time, it was Desert Storm. Desert Storm, and then later...
Desert Storm, Desert Shield was the late 80s, early 90s, mid-90s, something like that.
Yes.
The environment that I was in, we called Iraq was Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Afghanistan was Operation Enduring Freedom. Basically, post 9/11 would have been part of what it was called.
Okay, post 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after a year for just relaxation after a long career with the service, did you receive any type of veteran affairs patient services or benefits? And if so, what were they?
Well, the initial transitioning, partly because of the amount of time from when I came back from Afghanistan and separated was so short. There was a lot of stuff that was delayed on my part for transitioning to the VA and having disability claims filed, receiving appropriate compensation if there was any to be awarded. Once I came back I did come back to Bakersfield, and I did file I started my claims North Carolina where I exited, and then in Bakersfield they continued on. I received my benefits, and as time went on and additional issues were identified, additional claims were filed and added to the profile, I guess you'd call it.
Got it. Wonderful. Thank you. Well, we only have 4 minutes left to the show, and so we want to check in with our callers and see if they have any questions. This is part 1 of our wonderful chat with veteran Mr. Benjamin Weigel, who ran for mayor and for president. Woo! So let's see if our caller has any questions. Hello, caller.
Yes.
Caller? Hello, caller. We only have 3 minutes left of our show, and so we're opening up the lines to see if any callers have any questions.
Well,
for our guest. Yes.
First of all, thank you for your service. It will always be appreciated from my household. But my question that I have for Ben was, with his long years of service, does he recommend this type of a career for those that are younger and wanting to enlist? Or does he, I shouldn't say anything else. That was my question. What do you recommend enlisting, sir?
It really depends on what the person's long-term goals are. Because with the long-term goals, you can see how you're going to benefit, or how the young person can benefit and apply that experience to their future.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, caller. We're going to go ahead and close out the show for now, and because we only have 2 minutes left, and so thank you so much, caller, for holding too.
I enjoyed the show. It's very, very informative, and particularly the personal experience of Ben. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Lynn, for calling in, and you're welcome for the service.
Okay, so we're going to unmute. Okay, good. So we're a wonderful caller. And so we're going to go ahead. We have 1 minute left. I want to leave you, the audience, some resources. And so please look in the description for resources for veterans. The first one is, I'm sorry, I put in NAMI, but it should really be like the second one. But NAMI is our National Association for Mental Illness. That's if you're feeling some stress after your service, PTSD. Call them up. They have NAMI Home Front, helps the families and helps the loved ones. Helps your loved ones. Also, we have Veterans Affairs, a link in the description to the local Veterans Affairs and to the National Veterans Affairs. It's www.VA.gov. And then for our House member that is looking out for veterans, please go to Mr. Kevin McCarthy.house.gov and or Representative Valadao, VALADAO.house.gov. That's here locally in Kern County, California. Hey, thank you so much for listening to Let's Talk with, the emblem is the old show, but the new name is Chats with Camille Show. Take care, everyone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Goodbye. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, guest. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that's it.